Hey everybody, today I want to react to Andres Breivik and his recent video. So let's check it out and well, I would be curious to know what you think.
Unapologetic, Anders Breivik arrived in a makeshift court inside Cheyenne prison, demonstrating a continued belief in the far-right ideology that inspired his crimes. The 42-year-old is asking for release on probation as the minimum period of his sentence is up.
Isn't that crazy? Where you have a person who has murdered over 70 people, if I'm not mistaken, in the Norwegian island, and he's asking for probation. I'm not sure how much he actually spent in prison. However, I guess it could be like 10 years. We'd have to look it up. But he's asking for probation. Do you see justice there? Do you see that the families got justice that they deserved for their dead children? Because most of the kids, actually most of the dead people are kids. So let's just continue and see where it goes.
Today I renounce all forms of violence and terror, along with the objectives in the manifesto, and I give you my word of honour that this is behind me forever. But this doesn't mean that I won't keep fighting for a national socialist takeover of Norway and the West.
That's pretty crazy, right? He came into the courtroom with the Heil Hitler sign, and then he claims that he no longer holds those beliefs. I mean, if you look at the Norwegian prison system, they don't have a death penalty, and they don't even have a life in prison. So all they could give him, I think, was 21 years, actually. I mean, I can look it up later, but I just want to finish watching this video, so let's go over it.
Breivik murdered 77 people on July 22, 2011. 8 died when he detonated a car bomb in Oslo. He then travelled to the nearby island of Utøya, where a group of teenagers were on a Labour Party youth camping trip. He killed 69 of them. It was Norway's worst peacetime atrocity. But his psychiatrist says he still shows no remorse for his crimes. Prosecutor Hulda Karlsdottir outlined why he should not be granted parole.
Well, that's good.
As the court sees it, the psychiatric prognoses have to be used as a base. Even if the defendant is not diagnosed with a personality disorder, his crimes could just be seen as the result of a deviant personality. This means that the defendant, after serving a sentence of 21 years in prison, would still remain a very dangerous man. He should remain in prison.
So you get it. So 21 years. Basically, he can get 21. He got 21 years in prison, which is the maximum sentence in Norway. And then basically they want to renew probably the sentence because you can't give him more. Ain't that crazy? Let's continue.
Beth Royland, whose daughter was killed by Breivik, heads a family and survivors support group. She fears giving Breivik a platform could inspire like-minded extremists.
My biggest fear is that we will have the opportunity to spread his message to other people. Like we know that Munchausen, who had the terror attack on the mosque in Norway, was also inspired by Breivik, and there might be many others.
Breivik is serving Norway's maximum prison sentence of 21 years, which can be extended indefinitely if he's deemed a continued threat to society. The routine hearing will last for a maximum of 4 days. 4 days in which families of his many victims and survivors will no doubt relive their pain. Charlie Angela arrived in a makeshift court inside Cheyenne.
Well, let's now look at the justice that's being done here. So this man has an ideology. It's actually a nationalistic sort of, I don't even know what he actually wanted. Whether that's because I know the kids were like a politician's kids from socialist parties. So I guess he's right-leaning nationalist, kind of far-right extremist, like real extremist. And yeah, so they dislike everything that is not Norwegian or European per se. And so that's his kind of framework. But I don't see any remorse when I look at this guy. after spending this time in prison. Let me just look up when this attack happened. So I think it was Breivik. I think it happened 2011. Okay, so he's been in prison for 11 years, and you have these prisons in Norway where they can play PlayStation, he can read books, he can have a good time, and he doesn't have to um, really suffer. And so it's pretty crazy that we allow this to happen. Do you feel that justice was done? As the mother said, like she doesn't feel safe even releasing him. However, you have to look at it from a perspective of the parents. So there's over 70 something victims. So that's over 140 parents. And I'm pretty sure majority of them would like to see capital punishment for Breivik. There is no justification for this horrific crime. Even if he was psychologically disordered or whatever, this person is not supposed to live in this society. It's impossible to re not educate to re-enter this person. You can see after 10 years, after 11 years, he hasn't changed a bit. He just said he will value whatever laws, but he still believes in his nationalistic whatever tendency. So imagine this person comes to society again, and he even wanted a probation. What? For killing 70 whatever people? Are you crazy? And he imagine he comes from prison and he starts living his life. Imagine you have a neighbor and he's a mass murderer everybody knows about. And what's his point? What's his life now? His life is all about getting the message across now. There is no meaning in his life. He's doomed. He's Shaitan got him. And so it's pretty crazy that this is allowed. And I just wanted to point out why we need capital punishment. This may sound harsh, but for example, in Islam, this wouldn't be the case. You have a concept of blood money, and I'm not a sheikh to explain it, but technically, how it works is that if a murder happens and you catch the person who has murdered somebody and they admit to this, then the judge will give the right for blood money to the victim. So they can either forgive, which is preferred, forgive this murderer, or they can ask for sort of like a payment, and or they can ask for execution. And I'm pretty sure in this scenario this blood money concept would apply to all the parents, and I'm sure at least few of them would consider blood money payment to be executed this guy. And I don't think it is morally wrong at on any level, because yeah, it just makes sense. Like, what do you do with this guy? Where do you put him? If you put him in prison for a long enough timeline, let's say what is this, life in prison, do you think that's gonna change anything? Like, what is that doing? Like, and this is the problem with the liberal mind. They think like this is like causing harm in their head. Like, you're gonna kill him, so then why would you do that? Like, it's not gonna bring back your dead kids, and that's true. But you will have a sense of justice happened, because at this stage, I remember this case. At this stage, I don't think anyone thinks this is justice. I don't think this anyone can claim that justice has happened. That a person who killed 77 people can, after 21 years and maybe even sooner, walk into the society again. So justice has not happened, and I know there's ultimate justice is only with God. That's true, but with this case, it is pretty simple. It's capital punishment. There are no exceptions for this. Maybe if it was one murder or two, but 77, there's, this is not possible. However, no one should take actions in their own hand, of course. But I'm just pointing out the wisdom behind the capital punishment, because it is necessary in some cases. And what it would provide the victims with is the sense of justice. So if somebody does this, it deters other people from doing these crimes, because they know they're not going to get away in a cushy prison with this sort of craziness. And it also shows people, the victims get their right from the blood money, so they get the sense of, okay, the justice has been served, but ultimately the justice is with Allah. However, this is the wisdom. Like, I don't see anything wrong with this, and basically, yeah, it's just something I wanted to share with you because I've seen this clip, and I was horrified because I remember this guy when he did this. I don't know where I was. I think I was at high school. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. So, what do you guys think about this? Do you think we should let him go? Do you think he should be killed in a capital punishment by a state? Or do you think he should get a life in prison? Those are the three options. Or maybe he should go to a psychiatric institution for like a mental health issues. Which one do you prefer? Let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you in the next video, inshallah.